Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Cott and I'm delighted to be joined all the way from the shadows of Mount Wank by Record Sports' very own version of McManus and Caldwell, Keith Jackson and Scott McDermott. Guys, how are you both?
I'm good. This is my spiritual home now, Daniel. I think
it always was. It was named after
I think Mount Wank was the place I was always meant to be.
You've got the shirt on as well. That is an absolute cracker.
Exactly, it's a belter, isn't it? This is an upgrade in my attire, I think. So
that was never an actual shirt, was it? We never wore that to play.
Was it not the leisure talk? Remember?
Was it
1990? Italia 90 brings back good memories.
That brings back horrendous memories.
Well, how's your day been, guys? What have you been up to?
Well, look, beat o'clock again, but look at what we're on to now. Now, Scotland need about 8 of them. These are only wee dinkies. All I could do was get
the
mini bar.
We've had 4 different comments from people saying about Scott's pint.
Aye.
Well, that's not even half. We might need to break off for 10 minutes at some point.
A half pint.
Just needs a bandage on it. What we've been up to? I was down at the media centre today. Scott was also there. Scott did some stuff for, I think, that will appear in Sunday's paper, actually, the Sunday Mail, with one of the coaching staff, James Morrison. And we were lucky enough at the dailies to speak with Billy Gilmour, who I hotly anticipate is going to be the star of the show here for us. So that was great. He was
just put some pressure on Billy Gilmour.
I'm not putting any pressure on Billy Gilmour.
Every night, isn't he?
I was going to say there's a few people been commenting that, Keith. They're saying that you're looking a bit loved up. I don't know.
if you can just find somebody who looks at Billy Gilmour the way I do, or something like that.
Exactly.
Listen, I'm a little bit short of, a little bit too long in the tooth to become a fanboy. But I really, really like him. I really like the way he plays football. I could watch it all day. I love the way he handles the ball. I love the way he takes care of it. His ability to pass, the way he plays on the balls of his feet and demands it. And, absolute supreme confidence for a guy as young as he is. So, yeah, I've got big hopes for him. And by the way, he spoke terrifically well today. Again, away from the broadcast, and we were sitting down with the daily guys. Really confident. It was actually just made me feel even more convinced that this is his time at this tournament.
Well, I think we've actually got a little clip of Billy Gilmour speaking today. Here's what he had to say.
I think we all know it's going to be a very amazing night. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. We know that from Germany fans and Scotland fans. And I think it's for us to compose ourselves straight away. Try and get used to the atmosphere as soon as possible. I know in our team we've got a lot of players who have played in massive atmospheres, but the one against Germany is definitely going to be different. I think Toni Kroos is unbelievable. You've seen what he's done in the game, and just to watch him on TV, he's unbelievable. The way he moves the ball and passes it, the simple things he makes 100% perfect. And if I do get the opportunity, I'll be excited. Of course, one of the greatest midfielders of the game, and to test myself and compete would be a great opportunity.
He does speak really well, doesn't he?
See that bit there? He means that. He is desperate to get on the same pitch as Toni Kroos. And we talked a little bit to him about that after the broadcast interview. And he kind of admitted that the sort of what he's got in his mind's eye is when you go onto a pitch and you're up against somebody like that, and he idolised Modric and was stuck in self-isolation 3 years ago, having tested positive for COVID and couldn't play in that game. He was desperate to be in the same pitch, to test himself against him. And it'll be the same, and it is going to be the same if he gets the chance against Toni Kroos. He'll want to leave that pitch thinking, I showed Toni Kroos that I'm a player there.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of attitude. See, when you have that attitude, he's not frightened of it. He's not overawed by it. He's genuinely excited by it.
You know why? Because for years we've probably listened to Scotland players no speak like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They would always be very respectful and talk up team spirit and all that. We've actually got players now. We touched on it last night. Got players now that think, I'll thrive in this. Do you know what I mean? There's no fear. Nothing's going to. I don't think anything's going to faze Billy Gilmour now after what he's done in the Premier League, even come through to Chelsea
Well,
and stuff.
just think he just turned 20 when he came in for his first start in a Scotland shirt against England at Wembley in the Euros. How unfazed was he? He went on to dominate that game from the middle of the park. So now with 3 more years of experience under his belt, and it's not been a simple or straightforward 3 years for him, that's for sure. His career hasn't had the trajectory that he would have been hoping for back then. But here's his chance, having left the Euros with a man of the match performance away against England, the host nation, well, that night anyway, and he picks up where he left off on Thursday, Friday night. He can go into this game against the host nation on their home patch, and I think he just wants to do the exact same. In fact, it's ripping out.
And see, to be brutally honest, Jack, we'll see if Billy Gilmour wants to achieve what he wants to achieve in the game.
He has to make a statement.
He's got to do it in these games. No, ultimately, came through to Chelsea, wanted to play Champions League. No, it didn't quite happen for him there for one reason or another. He's ended up at Brighton. But he'll still feel, no doubt, he can get back to that kind of level. He wants to be playing Champions League every season. So if he's going to do that, he's got to turn up in these big games. And that might seem like putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but you've just listened to him there. No, he's confident about it, and you wouldn't put it past him doing it.
No, well, listen, if you look back when he came through busting onto the scene at Chelsea, right at the start, what age? 17, 16, 17? And Lampard put him straight into that team, and he was up against, I think in his first 3 or 4 games, I'm sure he played Liverpool and Everton. There was some big games. He just went out there and absolutely dominated.
It was a great moment when he was an nutmeg and Fabinho at Stamford Bridge against Liverpool.
I remember Roy Keane raving about him. I think it was after a game at Anfield.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, guys, this is the Hotline Live. We're always asking for people watching to send in questions, so please do in the comment section. But after yesterday's chat about Billy Gilmour, we've had a couple of comments on them. One that kind of grabs the eyes, this one from Davey. Hold on a moment. He says, I can't believe the guys have overlooked Ryan Christie in their team predictions. He needs to start, and he does say in the longer run, probably ahead of Gilmour. He's the only player with pace, legs that can hurt Germany on the counter. What do you think of that?
We've heard a few people mention Ryan Christie, and listen, he's probably, for me, he's probably the 12th man for me. He probably just misses out, and that's probably harsh on him because he's been a terrific player for Scotland. He's never let them down. He's had a brilliant season at Bournemouth, albeit actually in a different position this year, playing deeper in midfield, central midfield. He's done everything he possibly could to get into the starting lineup for the Germany game. And listen, he might be, but just for me, I think we spoke about the team the other night, for me, he just misses it, and he's probably...
He's the first sub on. He's the first sub on, no doubt about it, and it's no disrespect because he has been great and he is a great player, and I tell you what, he loves wearing the shirt as well. He loves being out there and being part of it.
Great guy to have in the squad.
But I'm afraid on this instance, and by the way, we will not play the same 11 over the 3 games, so Ryan Christie will have a major part to play in this tournament. I'm not sure he'll start the first game. I think McTominay and McGinn played in those more advanced positions that we discussed the other night. That's the way I'm pretty sure that Steve Clarke will go.
By the same token, though, you wouldn't be stunned if he started, because Steve Clarke does like him a lot, Ryan Christie.
I wouldn't be stunned, but I'd be stunned at whoever was left out.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be stunned, but I'd be surprised.
If it was a Gilmour, a McGregor, a McTominay, or a McGinn, I'd be astonished if they were left out. And to play Ryan Christie, one of them would have to drop out. I actually accept the point. I know where people are coming from about that kind of dynamism that he's got middle to front, and maybe other players haven't quite got that. No, he's probably quicker than McGinn and McTominay. Probably runs beyond a wee bit more than them, but I just think the goal threat that they've got, the experience, the kind of almost the stature they've got now in this Scotland squad, they have to play. And I agree with Keith. I think the central midfield, Gilmour and McGregor, have to play.
I think it's an absolute must. I think it's an absolute must. If we go into this game undermanned in the middle of the park, we're inviting trouble. We need to have our best 4 players in those positions. You need to be aware of their defensive responsibilities every bit as much as what they're trying to do going forward. If we get swamped in there, it could be a long night. And what we need is, especially at the base of that midfield, you want Billy Gilmour and Callum McGregor to keep the ball for as long as they possibly can, find teammates. I totally accept, and what I would be shocked at is if Ryan Christie doesn't go onto the pitch at some point. I'm absolutely convinced that he will, and I'm convinced that he'll have at least one start of this tournament, possibly two. I just don't think it's going to be Friday night.
Mm-hmm. We've had a couple of questions in actually about the general team selection on Friday. This one from Peter Sweeney. He's basically asking what happens if Robertson gets injured. Does Tierney go to left back then in that case, or does he stay left centre back? Or
of course he does.
Of course. Greg Taylor maybe come in as a.
No, listen, you've got two options. I mean, you could just put Greg Taylor on it in Robertson's position at left back, but I think he would probably move Tierney on one to left wing back.
Scott McKenna, come on.
McKenna or Cooper, the two left-sided centre backs. Probably McKenna, I would think, is just ahead of Liam Cooper just now. But that would be his two options.
And by the way, it's not a disrespect to Greg Taylor. I'm sure Greg Taylor would admit that, when it comes to the attacking threat that Andy Robertson provides, who's the one that's most likely to be able to give you a similar standard? And we've seen it time after time. It is Kieran Tierney. Yeah. So that is the move. And bear in mind that, as we've previously discussed on here, our width comes from our fullbacks. Mm-hmm. And we've got in that position is our best chance of getting 30-40 yards up the pitch with driving runs. Well,
let's not start talking about the captain getting injured. What I mean?
It's an incredibly gloomy question, that, to be honest with you.
Typically Scottish. Well, I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say we've maybe at their peak playing well got two of the best left backs in the world.
I don't think that is an exaggeration. Certainly in Europe, I think clubs all over Europe would be looking at the two of them thinking, wish we could have them.
Aye.
And it's the way they link up. I mean, we're talking about Gilmour. We're talking about Gilmour and McGregor in the middle of the park, dovetailing each other. I mean, Robertson and Tierney do that as well as Andy. I mean, you think of the teams that play three at the back around Europe. I can't think of a left back and a left centre back that work so well together.
No,
they know each other's games inside.
And because of that, there are times and moments in games, and it happens frequently. It's not just once every 90 minutes. It happens frequently throughout the match that Robertson will just sit in and let Tierney go.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got effectively your left centre back popping up at left wing. In fact, I've seen him popping up at right wing. And that little combination that they have, and that the way that they can dovetail, as Scott said, that catches teams by surprise. There are moments when you see, where'd this guy come from? When Tierney sets off on one, and I think that's a real weapon for us. So let's just hope that who was it? Was it Peter?
Peter Sweeney, yeah. Thanks for that, Peter.
Right, Peter.
Peter's glasses is half empty as mine.
We've had a couple of questions as well, guys, which I thought was interesting about England after we kind of wrote off their chances on Monday. We've got one here, Stephen Ward. How long do you think it will take the commentators on English television to talk about England during the opening game? I'm betting it's before the first advert. And we've also got one here from Robert Burns, ironically named one of the greatest ever Scots, but he's saying here, to all those Scotland fans with thistle-tinted glasses, who do you think your team will do well? Prepare for disappointment. England is the team to watch.
Okay, you knock yourself out. I'll be watching Scotland, thanks.
I guess that's not much of a question.
I'm not having it. And the commentators will be Scottish anyway, will they not? It'll be McCoist and the...
Who knows? I don't know. But listen, I'm sure it won't take long if the English pundits and commentary team to start talking about England before they've even talked about Scotland versus Germany.
And at least we're at a tournament now. We've got fed up with commentators going on about England, partly because we've never been there. So at least we're actually part of it. That would make a big difference.
Right, I'm not liking these questions tonight.
Look, guys, that's
what Steve Clark would call them.
It's the guy Steve Clark's talking about.
Don't shoot the messenger.
I might.
Well, let's try and have a bit more positive one. Robert Stewart, just wondering what your guys' thoughts are. If we fail to get through the group and lose a couple of games badly, do you think Clark will leave?
Aye, sack him now.
I just I forget Friday. It doesn't matter.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that. Sorry.
Just pull him.
Let's get George Burley back in.
Wee Bertie.
Well, look, guys, the Tartan Army has joined you over in Germany. They've well and truly invaded. And Record Sport has been out today talking with some of the fans. Here's what they had to say.
Got tickets for the game on Friday, but between now and then just going to soak up the atmosphere, a few beers, sing a few Scotland songs, so aye, see what happens.
I've never been to a Euros before, so it's my first time. Just a surreal experience, to be honest. Just loving the beer and the weather.
And what about yourself, mate? How's it feel?
Yeah, top of the pops.
What's the plan for today then?
I just sit and drink up the beers, mate. Take it all in. Wait for everybody else to arrive. And exactly, aye.
We're over from Aberdeen, so yeah, great to be here and can't wait for the game.
And what about you, Adam? How does it feel to be here?
Well, it's exciting because when we were in Amsterdam, it was just like building up the excitement, and then when we got here in Munich, it just like blown my mind.
Germans have been absolutely lovely. Hospitality's been brilliant. Yeah, everybody's been so welcoming. It's been unbelievable.
To get pictures with the Scotland flags and everything.
Yeah.
So have you get tickets for just that game, or you got
all of them?
All three, brilliant. So when do you head home?
The 24th.
24th. What Scotland are still?
We'll come home. We'll come back again.
Come back out. Yeah. How do you think we're going to get on Friday? What do you think the result's going to be?
I think we'll draw 2-2 or we'll win, but just by like a 1-goal deficit. And I think Christie or Adams will score.
I would probably take a draw, to be honest, but never know. If it's lucky on the day, we'll happily take a win.
2-0.
2-0. What about yourself? What's the score?
3-1. John McGinn double.
Go Scotland!
That definitely confident, but do you know what strikes me, guys? I know we broke the hoodoo for Euro 2020, but this feels more like a real tournament. That was almost the kind of diet Euros.
That was a ghost tournament. That thing, it wasn't real.
Aye.
It was actually a real non-event. It was obviously enjoyable. The night at Wembley was terrific, unforgettable, in fact. But the tournament was forgettable. The experience was forgettable. It wasn't a real tournament. It was a bad idea. It was actually a horrendous idea in the first place to stage it all over Europe. It was just a typically ham-fisted idea by UEFA. It was rubbish. And
I'm Hampden as well. You want to go somewhere, don't you? You want to
a tournament in your own backyard. I mean, brilliant if it's your tournament, but it wasn't. It was just 2 games, and as I recall, the authorities at the time couldn't even get it kind of joined up thinking on, what proper measures should have been put in place. We were getting tiny crowds at Hampden, and then you're having to sit and watch, Wembley fill up day after day, game after game, and it just wasn't a proper tournament. And I've covered a few, and that one just, yes, Scotland were there, and that made it great, but nah, forget it, write it off. But learn the lessons from it, and I believe that we have.
More to the point, somebody in that clip had a rugby shirt on. That's a red card.
Well, I tell you what, at least he wasn't a negative Norman.
That's true. That's very true.
But then again, there was quite a lot of beer being drunk there. That might have played a factor. Maybe that's why I'm so optimistic.
Here's a slightly more optimistic question. Jill's written in saying, "What's your favourite all-time moment following Scotland?" What springs to mind?
Favourite all-time? I was in Paris when James McFadden scored. That wasn't bad.
That's got to be up there.
That wasn't bad. I was also, but not covering, just as a kid, I was fortunate enough to be at Hampden to see Kenny Dalglish score those goals against Spain. I was there for the night against France when Dalglish, was it Maurice Johnson scored?
Yeah, Johnson got a double.
Aye.
Was there the night Alan McCoy scored against Norway, remember, to get us to?
I was there.
United.
Yeah. But in terms of reporting on it, I loved, actually, having just said what I've said about the last Euros, I loved being at Wembley for that game last time round. thoroughly enjoyed that. But I think McFadden's goal in France, that was just... that was tops.
To be there for that, that's pretty special.
The Griffiths free kicks were good against England, weren't they?
I wasn't there that day.
They were great moments at the time. I mean, obviously a sickener at the end when Harry Kane scores, but just if you could bottle that moment when they couple of minutes with 2 free kicks went in, they were incredible.
I have to tell you, the result in Oslo, I was there for that.
Me and you were next to each other.
We were both there. Not only was it an excellent trip, but it was a brilliant result.
It was great.
Yeah.
I was there for the Caldwell winner against France. Remember that one at Hampden?
I was there for that one too. Yep, that was but the McFadden one was that was extra special, wasn't it? That was just astonishing.
I was 10, Daniel. My parents took me to Italia 90, and it's just one of the most memorable experiences ever. I mean, unfortunately, they took me to one game, and it was a Costa Rica game where we get beat 1-0, which was a disaster. But watching the other games, watching us beat Sweden as a 10-year-old in amongst Scotland fans, it was just brilliant. Those type of things just live with you forever. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, definitely. Pretty cool parents as well. That was good one.
Exactly.
Any parents watching, take note. Right, guys, I like to introduce a glamorous guest, and I thought yesterday's was so good that he's back again. Say hello to the transfer guru, Scott Burns. Scott, how are you?
Good afternoon. Hey, how am I? Probably a little worse than I was yesterday. After the abuse of getting 0 in the quiz.
Well, listen, there might be a chance for you to restore some of your honour a little bit later on. But obviously, you are the transfer guru, the Scottish Fabrizio Romano. Yesterday, you couldn't really tell us a lot, but today, in today's Record Sport, a lot of talk about Tommy Conway, maybe being of interest to both sides of the offer.
Yeah, there is interest from both sides, so Rangers and Celtic, and it's a very interesting situation with Tommy Conway because he's now going into the last year of his contract, and as it stands, it doesn't look like he's going to be signing a new contract with Bristol City.
Mm-hmm.
Indications are that he's going to sit tight and hold out, and both Rangers and Celtic are aware that if it comes to January, that they could both sign him with a free contract and get him as £300.
Wow.
I understand that it's a move that obviously the player hasn't dismissed, and that Rangers and Celtic are both interested in obviously getting a player of that quality for as little a fee as like that is going to be appealing to both.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my understanding is that he's not going to sign a new contract with Bristol City, and that Bristol City will probably try and sell him now in this window because the fear is if he goes down to January, then the player holds all the aces.
Aye. And for a fee of £300, guys.
Yeah, do you know what's lifting the lid on it for you? The crafty thing about Burnsy is that he sat there last night and he knew fine well all about this. He just tripped into another little one, kept that one tucked in the back pocket. That's my boy Burnsy, well done.
The other interesting one with the Conway situation is that it's the same agency who brought Calvin Bassey up from Leicester City to Rangers and then moved him to Ajax for £20 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got a track record of using Scotland as a way of moving their players on. So I wouldn't dismiss it.
What would it cost to get him now then?
£300.
I think the figures down south they were talking about 4 or 5 million. You know what I mean?
To get him now, so in another.
That would probably have an English club comes in, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
But maybe £300 in January. Is that right?
£300 a training compensation because he moves out with. If he moves to another club in England, it's still big money. If he moves to another club if he moves outside England, then it's just training compensation for the years that are covered in years he's been at Bristol City. It's much the same way as the other one where Conor Barron just now. He's obviously the news. The Rangers have obviously been linked with Conor Barron. Rangers have had an interest in Conor Barron for a few months. The Aberdeen, he's obviously out of contract at Aberdeen, indicate that he's likely to move on. There was Italian interest there from 2 or 3 clubs. Calgary were interested, but their manager Claudio Ranieri's now retired. Sassuolo were interested. They've now been relegated to Serie B. And Bologna are interested, but that's up in the air because Thiago Motta has moved to Juventus as well. So the Italian interest that was there before, maybe there's nothing concrete as it stands, and that Rangers have maybe this has given Rangers a chance to come to the fore, but they've been there for months. But obviously Rangers want to boost they want to boost their Scottish contingent. But the problem for Rangers they will find is that I think the training compensation, if Conor Barron goes outside of Scotland, is just over 500,000. But if Rangers were to try and buy him, they would have to pay a lot more. And if they couldn't agree a fee, it would go to a tribunal. So there's a risk in that one as well. But I'm told that nothing's been agreed with regards to the player as it stands.
We know that obviously Rangers have a massive rebuild this summer. Conor Barron looked really great the times I've seen him. But Keith, Scott, would he be up to go to Rangers, do you think? Would he be a good signing?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure, to be honest, Daniel. I mean, I think he's a very good young player. Is he of the same level as Lewis Ferguson when he left Aberdeen? No, I don't think so. And Rangers, one of the biggest mistakes in Rangers' recent history was not getting Lewis Ferguson for me, or not trying to get him. And it almost feels like, well, we didn't get Lewis Ferguson, but we'll go and get this boy. And I don't think, with all due respect to Conor Barron, because I think he's a really good player, I just don't think he's the level that Ferguson was at. And listen, Rangers midfield's going to get totally restructured. Diomandé's obviously come in, but you've got Jack Lundstrom leaving, others could be leaving. Listen, I think it'd be a decent signing. We know they'd like to get Scottish players in for the European quota, stuff like that. He's a young player, there's improvement in him. Clement will probably feel as if he can make him better, but is he really what Rangers need? I'm not sure he's up to the standard.
I'm minded to agree. I think it's harsh, but I'm minded to agree. I've not seen enough from him that would make me think, yeah, this boy's ready to make a step up to whether it's Rangers, Celtic or whatever. That all said, my knowledge counts for little when you consider that Steve Clarke had, put a reserved sticker on Conor Barron for this summer in case there was any more call-offs. He was the next one that was likely to step into the squad. So that tells you a man of Steve Clarke's judgment thinks that this boy is going to be a full international sometime soon, sooner rather than later. So, but I personally I don't think I've seen enough of him. I don't think I've watched a match where I felt that he stood out so much that I'm thinking that boy's, oven ready. Not quite for me.
And I know you guys wouldn't have had much of a chance to see Tommy Conway in action down in Bristol City. But do you think he's a name that could improve either, if not both, of the Old Firm?
Yeah, I actually do think that he is. I'm not saying that he would come in and be a starting striker. I think if he was a starting striker at either clubs, then it would be a pretty low ambition signing. But if you're looking at him at the age of 22, you look at some of the players that the Old Firm have signed, mainly, by the way, from Hibs over the years. You go and sign them, and a Kenny Miller, for example, young, but was in there as an understudy, a guy that could, perhaps play in the Saturday afternoons if they were playing European football through the week. But get into the building, learn off the senior players, improve. And a young striker's not going to be at the top of his game at 22. But if he gets to 25 and he's starting near his peak, then you might have a real player in your hands. And all indications from down south are the people are excited about Tommy Conway. So I think if he was to move to Celtic or Rangers, do I think he would be a starter the first pick next season? Certainly not at the start of the season, but who knows, maybe he could play his way into it. I certainly think he's the sort of player that the two clubs should be looking at.
Listen, if you're talking about getting him on a pre-contract in January for 300 grand, as Scott's saying, then it's a no-brainer. Of course it is, because whatever happens, he'll be worth a lot more than that by the time he maybe eventually moves on. But as Keith says, is he ready to come in as a starter at Rangers or Celtic up front? I don't think so. And I look at Rangers in particular, the situation they've got. We know what their squad looks like in terms of there are guys there on big contracts. who haven't quite cut it. No, your Danilos and your Bessers and people like that. I don't think Rangers fans see them as first choice strikers next year. They want somebody new in.
And I tell you another thing to throw into the mix, right? Philippe Clement is already under pressure because of the way the season ended. He fell down in the league and he couldn't get over the line in the Scottish Cup. Therefore, he still hasn't beaten Celtic. That he's not. Listen, it's hardly a Clement out campaign that's been started by the Rangers fans, but there's just the feeling that the honeymoon's over. Philippe Clement, if he wants to protect his long-term job situation at Rangers, has to get off to a flying start. And I don't think you do that by taking a punt on a 22-year-old as your first choice striker.
Rangers' priority in January should have been a striker, a proven goal scorer to try and get him over the line in the title race.
Maybe should have signed Lawrence. Shankland, that would have been it.
Shankland was the obvious one. They didn't do it. They looked at this. They went for different options, and look at what happened. It'll be one of their priorities again this summer. And as much as I agree with Keith, I think Conway is a really talented young player. And I think if you were getting him for next season, a pre-contract, it's a no-brainer. But is he ready to come in as your number 9 to spearhead Rangers' kind of title challenge next year? No, I don't think so.
I think if you look at all Rangers' business, it's looking towards medium to long term. I mean, but as a Rangers manager, you've got to look short term. It's all about results. You can build players, you can build projects, you can teams. But if you don't get results in the short term, it all goes up in smoke.
You're spot on. And by the way, when you're talking short term, let's look no further than the first Old Firm game of the season.
Yeah.
Because if Philippe Clement loses at Celtic Park, and if Philippe Clement there goes and gets turned over on the other side of the city, then I'm saying there's no Clement out campaign at the minute. Well, you just listen to the reaction if that was the case. If Rangers went into a sore one and fell behind that early on in the league, it goes into exactly the same situation as Michael Beale was 12 months previously.
Keith, I actually read recently, again, I don't know if this is definitely factual, but I'll throw it out there. Clement obviously goes into his 5th Old Firm game in September at Celtic Park. Understand that no manager for either side that has lost or not won their opening 5 Old Firm games has seen the 6th.
In the first 5.
Has seen the 6th game. So it is absolutely huge summer for Rangers, massive.
That's the one unconditional. It's the one thing non-negotiable with the supporters of both sides. If they've got a manager in charge that can't beat the other lot, then I'm afraid he's not for the long haul. That's just the rules of the city. It might seem harsh. I'm sure some people have come and gone and felt that they've been treated unfairly but that's the rules of the jungle. If you want to take a job, one of these 2 jobs, you have to understand if you can't beat the other lot, you're out.
Gio Van Bronckhorst was threatening to go on a kind of similar run, Daniel. He needed a big win in an Old Firm game and he got it in the Scottish Cup semi-final when they won in extra time.
Yeah.
And it was part of it was at the time of the whole Seville run, Europa League final, and it bought him a lot more time, a lot more goodwill, etc. But he needed that big Old Firm win. Clement's now in the exact same situation. He needed it last season. At the end of last season, he couldn't get it. So as Keith says, he's going to need it in the first Old Firm game of next season. Otherwise, he's under real pressure.
Well, the fans will make up their minds at that point. Yeah. And once the fans, once the herd turns, there's no way back. So, yeah, that's just, as I said, another reason why you couldn't look to go into the start of next season with a 22-year-old, largely untested striker leading the line.
Well, listen, 2 brilliant transfer stories from yourself, Burnsy. No one can touch you when it comes to transfer stories, but an area where you could maybe use a little bit of improvement is when it comes to the Hotline Live quizzes. But we've got a chance to redeem yourself.
I was only coming on here. I was being quizzed on transfers. I never did any on quizzes.
Don't take him outside his comfort zone, Daniel.
Just don't quiz him in football.
Well, in fairness, I've got this memo that said, look, make the guys in the front line look good. I thought I did that.
That's it. Oh, you definitely succeeded. Well, look, tonight's quiz, guys, is all about one-cap wonders, right? So I'm going to fire up a few pictures. And if you remember your buzzers from last night, Keith, I think you were Nary's toe poke.
Hold on.
Mine was the working last night.
Hold on a few seconds. you're going to show pictures.
Yep.
And you need to identify them.
Yes.
Yep.
I've not got my glasses. I'm half blind. I'm Mr. McDermott here. Oh, this is unbelievable.
I don't think it's going to go particularly well for you then, Keith, to be honest.
What's that?
I don't think it will go well for you then, this quiz.
No, I can hardly see Scott McDermott, to be honest.
Right.
From here.
Right, first man coming up now. Buzz in if you know who it is.
Top Oak.
Go for it.
It's the wee boy that was at Liverpool.
No, it's not.
No?
Ali's Army.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for, is it Wayne Cummings?
No.
Do you know what?
Warren Cummings. No, it's not right. Warren Cummings it is.
Oh, come on. You need to give me
And
that.
Christian. Warren Cummings. You can't give him the point. It's only half right.
I think Burnsy's right. It is Warren Cummings.
Right, I've got a point. I'm away. I'll see you later.
Oh, a point that you stole off me because I gave you the summary.
Warren Cummings, you get one cap in
He's
2002.
totally a Highland League manager.
I'd have laughed if you'd come back in with Jason Cummings.
Right, next one.
Ali's Army.
Go for it.
Peter Canero.
There you go, back of the net. Peter
Wow.
Canero, one sub-appearance against Denmark in a friendly in 2004.
That looked like a Bertie Votes generation strip. Yeah, that's about right.
Right, so it's 1-1 now. Right, third one.
Christian.
Ali's Army.
Oh, Burnsy was there first, I think.
Aaron Barr.
Well done, Burnsy. There you go. He's came making a point tonight, guys.
Rubbish quiz. This is a set-up, by the way. It's a shocker.
Darren Barr, one cap against Northern Ireland in 2008. Right, this one. I've got high hopes for you here, Keith. You'll get this one. Hold on.
I can't see.
Ali's Army.
Go for it.
Paul Telfer.
He's got it. Paul Telfer, one cap against France in March 2000.
Doesn't count. This bears no relation. Because how can I play in a quiz when I can't see what the question is? How can that work? How can that possibly be fair?
A picture quiz for a blind guy.
Right. The Great Escape here.
Right, we've only got one more picture left. I think we're at 2 for Scott McDermott, one for Scott Burns. Is that right? Or is it 2-2?
Well, I'm getting done at points here.
He's right. It is 2-2. This is the decider.
I'm still getting cheated when I even get ones right.
The decider is coming up, guys. Here we go.
Christian. Andrew Shiney.
Shiney. Oh, Shiney.
Shiney, yeah.
Andrew
Shiney.
You never buzzed, Scott. You never buzzed in.
I did.
You need to buzz in.
All right, maybe I did.
Buzz in.
Listen, I think we have to give it to Bonzi, guys. I think he's
Oh, wait a minute. How come he doesn't get one?
That's what I'm saying. No, that's fair.
Shiney.
I just wanted to get one right.
But you didn't.
Bonzi was the underdog.
I've talked about previously.
Aye, okay. Right, that was a null and void for me. That was absolutely ridiculous. Listen, that's the thing. See if you've got to do something like that, Daniel. Have you not got an obligation on you as the presenter to at least let me know? Bring your glasses, you might need them.
If it was the same as me last night, I thought it was pointless. I was on.
Oh, it was pointless.
Listen, guys, I'll get you a form to complain, right? I mean, this is...
I won't need a form.
If you can see it.
Send me one in Braille.
We spare no expense on the Hotline Live, guys, when it comes to our features. And tomorrow, we've got an absolute belter of a feature. I think we can show a little preview of it now. I have it in good authority that Jimmy and Alma, the Highland Cows, are psychic. And tomorrow's show, they're going to predict for us how Friday's game between Scotland and Germany is going to go. We've got a good authority, guys, that they know what they're talking about.
That's your idea as well, Daniel.
What's that?
Is this your idea as well?
This wasn't actually my brainchild, no. But
oh, dearie me,
it's worth waiting for, guys.
The Cows pick, I'll be betting anyway.
I thought this kind of show got off to quite a flying start. I'm starting to feel like we might have peaked.
I'll bet the Cows get on better than me in the quiz.
Peak 3 days in, that's a record. Right, before we finish, guys, Johnny Young's written in with a question. Good way to end it. He's saying, look, we won't win it. I'm confident we'll go out of the group, but who do you think will end up lifting the trophy on July 14th?
France. Next.
France or Germany? Aye.
Portugal, no?
No.
Decent. Decent each way shout. Aye.
Well, listen, they're a good side. Obviously, their numbers 7 is not what it used to be. They're technically a good team. France have just look. Do you know who should win it? If we're honest, is England. England should win it because they've got all the best players. They're different class in terms of individual quality. Scott, you mean
France?
Well,
defences. Mark Gahey and Lewis Dunk.
I'm sorry, but if you look at England, yes, okay, the back four is not the strongest, but from the midfield forward, it's frightening. But the only reason they're not going to do it is because of the manager who's making the decision.
Who do you fancy, Bumsy?
I think France, but as Keith says, my biggest fear would be England winning it. And the manager would finally get things right, you know what I mean? He's got close a few times.
Yeah, I know, Buzzy, but see, this is the thing about England. He's got close a few times. How many trophies should they actually have in the cabinet from over the last 20 to 30 years? They keep picking the wrong guy. And I'm thoroughly delighted about that.
I mean, I seen an interview with Bill yesterday that he said that Gareth Southgate was saying that if he doesn't win it, he could bow. I mean, I suspect that would be it if he doesn't win this one.
I think he'll go anyway.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a club manager next season.
I don't know. I think if he was to win the Euros, he'd probably be staying in the position. But I think it's one of those now that England feel. I think there's a kind of a feeling now. If you don't win this one, well, thanks very much for all your efforts, but it's time to try something fresh. And I would agree with that. I just hope that they keep on doing what they keep on doing and selecting the wrong guy for the job. I look back at times when Mourinho was just in charge of everything. And England could have got him at that point. And you think to yourself, if they went and appointed Jose Mourinho, we're done for. We're in for a decade of absolute doom. But they never did it. They went and got Southgate. They made curious choices before that. And that is the one thing that it's a terrible negative way to end the show. It's the one thing that offers you hope is that England keeps shooting themselves in the foot.
Long may it continue. Guys, that brings us to the end of today's Hotline Live. It's been a pleasure as always. I should say if you're watching at home, you can email us at hotline@dailyrecords.co.uk, and of course you can ask the panel questions on Facebook, X or YouTube. Keith, Scott and Scott, thank you very much.
We're the same.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for watching.